When I first learned from DCF that I was being accused of sexual abuse of my significant other daughter, I felt like I got hit by a truck. I kind of just collapsed onto the kitchen floor in disbelief. I couldn't believe that this was happening. I was trying to think of ways that would help me. I wanted to look for for a lawyer to see what my options were because this was the first time that I ever been accused of anything. I never even had a speeding ticket. The first thing I did was I uh, I was Googled lawyers that would represent someone that was being falsely accused of sexual abuse, and I was going through everybody's reviews, and I came across Kevin Seaver, who through all the testimonies that I seen, he worked with a lot of people that was being accused of sexual abuse from DCF. After calling a few of them, I came across Kevin Seaver, and I called him, and he got right back to me, and he met me that same day. I called him on that Saturday on a day off, thinking that I wasn't gonna be able to get a hold of anybody until Monday, and he called me back, and he met me within a couple hours. I met Attorney Seaver at his office, and it was an off day work, and he met me and he listened to my story, and he told me, this is what I needed to do. We had DCF coming for interview on that Monday, and he took on my case. He told me, this is the steps that's going to happen. These are the things that they're going to do when they come, and he prepared me for that day. So after talking to Attorney Seaver, he set up a plan for me. Told me when they were going to come in when DCF was coming in on Monday, that this is the questions DCF was going to ask. This is their allegations that were serious against you, and what the outcome could be. And Kevin Seaver was straight to the point. He said, DCF was, basically going to come in and ask a bunch of questions, and we had to sit there and just be honest and go through it. Yeah, after calling the other lawyers, and some of them didn't call me back, and the ones that called me back would say that they weren't going to be there on that Monday. They weren't going to represent me on Monday. They needed to find out exactly what DCF wanted first before they were going to be able to be there on that Monday. They made me feel like I was already guilty. They made me feel like they weren't going to do anything unless they knew exactly what DCF was going to say. Kevin Seaver was there for me. He made me feel comfortable. He supported me. He sat there and listened to my story. He set up their appointment. He was there early. He came in, talked to myself and my family, told us, what was going to go over, how things were going to go by. When DCF arrived, exactly everything that Kevin said was going to happen happened. Tony Seaver was to the point, like, when I got there, I didn't have all the money up front. He worked with me to do a down payment, and I ended up paying the money even after Kevin Seaver came on that Monday. He was not about the money. He heard how this affected my family, that DCF was going to come in. I was scared to sit there alone. I was scared for my family, scared for myself. These allegations were serious, and I needed somebody that I can trust, and I felt comfortable in knowing that they knew that what they were talking about. And talking to Kevin Seaver and his team, I felt confident. I felt like he knew exactly what was going on in my head. He knew what was going to get me through the DCF nightmare that I was about to take. He came up with a whole plan and laid it out in front of me, that these are the steps that I was going to need to take in order to get DCF out of my life. DCF tried to make me be something that I was not. They tried to say that I was somebody that I was not. That's not who I am. I'm not a person that preys on innocent people. Kevin Seaver sat there and told me that these are the things I'm going to have to do because DCF, they're going to do things wrong. It was it was like I was in a dark tunnel, and DCF, this each time there was I thought I was going to be able to get out with a light, they were just breaking down the sailings just so I would be barricaded in. And Kevin Seaver is that person that they send in to get the innocent out. He guided me through this whole thing. Without him and his team, without Kevin Seaver and his team, I would still I don't know what I would have done. Kevin Seaver never doubted that I was innocent. He stuck by my side. He made me feel comfortable. Kevin Seaver was the only person besides my family that would sit there and knew that I was innocent. He told me that just follow him. He's gonna guide me. He's gonna take me to the promised land and get me through this nightmare that DCF was putting me through. Kevin Seaver prepared me for the fair hearing, and he was awesome at the fair hearing. He was very prepared. I recall sitting in the chair, listening to Kevin Seaver cross-examine the supervisor and an investigator for DCF. And at that moment, I knew that I made the right decision. That Kevin Seaver and his team were the best thing. Kevin Seaver sat there and he made sure that every time they tried to sit there and give a false statement, he called them out on it. DCF tried to lie about testimonies. They tried to lie about saying they had evidence when they did not. Kevin Seaver was to the point, and he was very professional. When I found out that the allegations were reversed from DCF, I just started crying. I couldn't breathe. I was relieved. It was one of the happiest moments of my life because I knew that things were going to be good. That DCF and all their lies and everything that they tried to do fake was just false, and that there was hope. If anybody that I know calls and tells me that they are being falsely accused of sexual abuse, I will refer them to Kevin Seaver and his team. I would tell them that when you meet Kevin Seaver, he's going to give you a plan. You have to follow that plan. That plan is going to help you get your life back together. Kevin Seaver knows what he's doing. He's honest. Kevin Seaver cares about families. He wants to make sure that you're not fighting alone. And Kevin Seaver is your lifesaver. Kevin Seaver is a person that's going to help you. And I will tell them that they need to call Kevin Seaver as soon as I'm done talking to him. Being accused from a DCF of sexual abuse was one of the hardest things ever in my life. It was the hardest thing that anybody have ever told me. When DCF told me I was being accused of sexual abuse of a minor. And then having to go out and search for a lawyer and sit there and talk to a complete stranger and tell that lawyer that what I'm being accused of, and tell that lawyer, that I needed help was very hard. And to come up with the money and worrying about how I was going to come up with the money was a very hard thing. It was one of probably the most stressful thing in my whole entire life. And it made me sick to my stomach that I even have to sit there and find a lawyer and be in that position. But I know today that without talking to a lawyer, without having to pay that money, that I would be sitting in a different position than I am right now. I would not be home with my family. I would be, who knows what I would be at. I don't even like to think of where I would be if I did not find a lawyer. And that lawyer that I found was Kevin Seaver. And without without Kevin Seaver and his team, it, this would not, there would be no happy ending. He crushed the whole case. He was the best person in that room. Kevin Seaver was the person that in that room at that moment, he outshined everybody. He knew exactly everything that was going on. I think Kevin Seaver is the best DCF lawyer that you can find.